Hi, Romans here, and in this video I'm gonna tell you how I wrote the music for Wrong Doors. Wrong Doors is one of the songs I was performing with my previous band Slip of the Lip. We released an EP back in 2015 called For the First Time, and after that we had an album worth of material, 10 songs, some of which I had written before joining Slip of the Lip, some of them after. 5 of those songs were reused and rearranged for my first album Pursuits in Life 1, and I decided to put another 3 of those tracks on the second album. Anyway, out of all these 8 songs that I decided to reuse, Wrong Doors is the one that's probably most different from its original version. The song was originally called Carry On Without Me, which I'm gonna talk about in the next video where I'll discuss the lyrics, and I wrote it back in 2015. This is definitely the heaviest song from IAKO BEI so far. Apart from that, the only thing that remained intact from the original version is the chorus. But there's this one very interesting thing about the riff, the compromise we had to make back in Slip of the Lip. If you're an artist, but even if you're not, we all have to create something or come up with something, and at one point or another we will have to collaborate with other people. Many times compromise leaves all of the creators partially satisfied, but also partially frustrated. The main riff in my latest single Wrong Doors is actually an example of a good compromise. I love progressive music, I love odd time signatures, so when I wrote the riff originally I had this one additional note at the end of it, which changed the time signature from 4/4 to 5/4. But the guitar player, he didn't want that additional note, he wanted a more straightforward riff. So at one point I suggested, why don't we play the riff the first time your way and the second time my way. And the compromise was much better than our original ideas on their own. If we did it his way, it would be more predictable and more boring. If we did it my way, it would be too disturbing and it would disrupt the rhythm too much. Now there's this perfect balance between both ideas. Have a listen and let me know if you agree. Probably the biggest difference between Wrong Doors and the original version is the verses. Originally, when the song started, the riff had basically the same vibe, but after that there was this stop time. It all just kind of slowed down and we went into this like a balladic section. It almost sounded like a pop rock song or a ballad. And it was interesting actually that the guitar player was singing the lead vocals, I was singing the backing vocals, and in the chorus we kind of reversed the roles.
Some of them I wish for gold. After all this day, you are causing me some more.
I wanted something much heavier for the verse. I basically wanted the whole song to be like this really heavy prog metal song where everything is turned up to 11 and it's basically like this heavy train just really going very fast from start to finish with no moment to relax. In summer 2020 I revisited one of my favorite bands, Biffy Clyro, and especially their album Ellipsis from 2016. There's this amazing track, In the Name of the Wee Man, and at that point when it comes to Wrong Doors I had just the riff and just the chorus, and as I was listening to that track I thought to myself, I would really like to write something like that. So I took the inspiration from that track and I came up with the verses for the track, which are both punchy, powerful, but at the same time they they don't necessarily sound like what inspired me in the first place. Sometimes when you're creatively stuck, all you have to do is just to look up to your favorite artist, find a fragment of an idea which you can then take, build up on it, and come up with something that's not necessarily similar.
Piece of glass, I'm ready to carve your name across my chest. Tearing myself apart and then some oldies for the desired outcome. This is what I'm living for. Yet I'm subject to the shell.
Okay, now let's talk about the mid section, which I wrote back in 2020, I think in December. When I wrote it on the guitar at first, I thought it was okay, but I wasn't really excited about it. And as I was recording the demo for the track, I decided to replicate the guitar with both the synth and a bass guitar, as I don't have guitars in my really heavy rock music. And the actual result blew me away. I was like, oh my god, this is one of my favorite sections ever. So sometimes you may actually have a great idea. What you have to do, however, is to look at it differently, execute it differently, maybe even do something you wouldn't normally do with it to have an outstanding result. Now you'll be able to hear both the mid section, how I wrote it originally on an acoustic guitar, and the actual studio recording. So have a listen to that section and let me know if it's good enough. This section is also interesting rhythmically speaking, because when it starts along with the first section where I sing, this is all in 9/4 time signature. After this we go in 7/4 time signature. And then the final section where I sing, basically the drums are in 4/4, whereas the bass, synths and the vocals are in 6/4, which creates this interesting, chaotic, urgent feeling.
It's all there for those who